Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. Yesterday we got our loot system reworked for toggling. Once we equip our loot here, now once we click the button that it's equipped on, we can start to play our loot. Today is going to be trying to get this working on our mobile deployment. So the last time we updated our mobile deployment, we didn't have the inventory system. But now we can change our tunic and our spellcast in our inventory system, and then also equip a loot and play loot stuff. So it's gonna be yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I want to do, and then one more thing I think I probably want to do in the maybe today is make it so that we can't do bad things like walking. See how like I can walk into the sign there and then we collide with it, so it moves us out to not colliding. So I want to design the levels so that when people play, you can't walk into a sign like that. So because I was watching some people play the game on Twitch even, and they were, they're exploring, but since it's so kind of just plopped on there as a placeholder, it makes for a rough experience because you can walk down into this and then it causes a collision. So we kind of just need to fix our screens so that we can't allow the player to walk into any collidable on the next screen. So I think I want to do that, as well as get it working on mobile so that people can start to play loot on mobile and also not have some of these bugs that we're dealing with. So that's the goal for today. We'll see how far we can get, and then once I am ready for testing, I'll be swapping over to the Mac so that we can do the build, because I've got a build pipeline set up on the Mac over here. So that's what's on the docket today. Okay, we've got to rehaul some stuff because right now the inventory is only being triggered by pressing enter, I believe. Yeah, so we have this state machine called play state. We are only triggering it with an enter press, but we need to trigger it with a start button press, which we have got a callback function for that gets called anytime enter is pressed, but we have, or not enter is pressed, but the callback is the touch on touch press, I want to say. Now, it's been a little while since I worked with our touch, so it's going to be a little while to kind of get reoriented with that. So I'm looking for the callback where we have touch pressed and touch released. Okay, here it is. So in our touch handling class, this is the callback I was talking about. So once we're pressed, because the idea is what's tricky here is if we were to just press the start button on mobile, it knows we're colliding with the start button. Therefore, it would toggle the inventory state, and then it would just toggle over and over and over because it's detecting the collision with a touch and the start button. So what we need to do is say only toggle it upon a touch press, not upon a touch hold, and only do it that way. So the only way I've figured out so far how to do something once with touch is to do it based on this touch pressed callback. And this is something that Lua does for us, but we're kind of modifying, we're adding our own stuff where we're saying, okay, we're going to snag We're going to snag the ID. How are we doing this? See, look, because this is how we're doing it with the help screen. So this is what we're doing. We're saying if our buttons at index 3, which is our select button, collides with any touch at a touch's ID, then we're going to toggle our toggle help, which isn't a state, but it is just a thing that's rendering on screen there. So if we take a look at our buttons is our table that holds all of the collidable touch objects. I forget what we call that. Buttons. They're touch detection objects. So buttons 3 is our select button. Buttons 4 would be our start button. So we want to do something similar here where we say once we touch press, anytime this function gets called, and it gets called passing in as a unique ID in X and Y of the touch, as well as a DXDY. We don't use that, but I have it anyway. So what we're trying to do is say anytime there is a touch pressed, let's see if it's colliding with the buttons 4, which is our start button, because that should toggle our inventory. So we're going to say buttons 4 collides with our touches table at index ID. And we want to do basically the same thing here, except it's almost like we have to set, because we need this to do two things. It needs to either take us into the play state, or it needs to take us out, or it needs to take us into the pause state, which is where our inventory is, or it needs to take us out back into the play state if we're already in the pause state. So this is let me see if let's see how we handle this in our play state. If we hit return or enter, we go ahead and change to pause state. That's what we want. And pause state, it really should be called inventory state or something. Where is our inventory state? This is our inventory class. We need to find our state here. Pause state here. Okay, so this is what we would need to do if we're already in the pause state. But there's no way I know to currently ask what state we're in. Like we'd have to, this is kind of weird because the callback function for the touch press is global, but this inventory state machine is, kind of compartmentalized based on whatever state we're in. So it's almost like we have to keep a global reference to whether or not we're in a play state or not. There's got to be a function we can call to get the current state machine we're in. Let's see our state machine class and see if we have anything like that. Oh, we do have a self.current state. Okay. We might be able to do this. This just gets tough to prove here. Crap. I know we did this once in our debugging, trying to print out the state machine. Man, I should have left us a note for that because I totally forgot how we did that. But there should be a way to go into our global state machine, into our table called current, and get the name of the state, so that when that callback for the start press gets executed, we say, okay, well, if our current state is play state, then we need to change our state to pause state. If our state was pause state, we need to switch it back to play state and remove our loot minigame part, just like we're doing it for the keyboard portion. Okay, so our state machine itself is a class that has a self.current. I'm wondering what that current gets populated with. It gets populated with the name, well, okay, state name. I don't know how to pull the name of the current state. Because we're assigning current to be the current states at state name. Okay, we'll have to play around with this and see if we can do it. So we have a global state machine. Let's go to our play state here. Let's try to just print out the current state and see if that works. So we're gonna say in our play state here. Oh, and you know what? This is weird. It's almost like we shouldn't have a different state for our inventory. Because play state, well, I don't know. I don't know. This is my first time making something this big. So what I'm going to do is just try to print up something that we can see. And then we'll try to dig down into our state machine and try to get the name of the state that we're at. And if we can figure that out, then we should be able to get the logic right. So we should see a hello world here. Okay, we see a hello world. So what we can do is say, let's take our global state machine and go into the current state, and then we're gonna inspect it, because if it's a table, we want to be able to see it instead of just nothing. So we'll try to inspect it. Okay. We can't call inspect. This is a thing I've been meaning to fix. We need a global inspect variable because we can only do this locally right now. So I think I want to do this, but global. So let's go into our dependencies. Okay, I'll do inspect with an I here. And then we should be able to run it with... Oh, and I spelled it wrong. Inspect. Should be like that. No. Oh, that's not right. Okay, yeah, it is. Okay. So this is holding a whole bunch of stuff. See, we need a dump. We need like a data dump of all this stuff, but this is not... It's not pulling the name of the state machine, like, unless we were to give it... Let me first see if we can run it lowercase like this. Okay, we can. Okay, so I want to be able to say something like... We'll just put a testing field on our current state machine, and then in our play state, I want to come in here and say in our init that we would have self.testing equal to a string called hello, and if we can see this testing field in our play state, then we can kind of store the name of the state machine there and just match it. Hey, we see hello there. Okay, so what we can do is save this as state name, and we can say that this is play state. And then we can come in here to our pause state. I want to say we rename this to inventory state, but it is technically pause. Yeah, I think we should rename it. We'll call it pause state for now. We can refactor when we have less stuff to do, or refactor the names when we have less stuff to do. I'm just trying to get moving here. Okay, nil, state name, play state, pause state, state name. Okay. And then what do we change? State machine, oh, yeah, not testing, not the testing field, but this state name field that we just made. And then we can see play state. Okay, cool. So now we should be able to do custom logic depending on what state name we're at. Okay, cool. So we should be able to, let's go back to our enter press. Okay, we want to change to a pause state if our callback is registered on a button 4. Okay. So we're going to say, yeah, I think I like the idea of taking us out of the loot state if we pause. Okay, so if we collide with button 4, then we want to say, and our global state machine dot current dot state name is equal to play state. That's when we would want to do this change to our pause state. And then we can say actually, yeah, let's do this where we do right here. We say if button collides, then we do one of two things. The first thing we do is if the state machine is play state, we do this logic. And then we can say else if the state machine is already in our pause state, state name is pause state, then we would change back to our play state, but we forgot a string here. I think there's another thing we've got to do. Let's see our pause state. We're doing it here. We change it to false, change the play state. Okay. We're already changing it to false here, so we should be able to just say change our state machine back to play state here. I believe it's camel case like this, even though our LSP wants us to do the other one. Let's see. Yeah, that should be right. State machine, okay. Okay, we should be able to test this. There's a couple of different values we need for the mobile deployment. We should make a little toggle for us, because it's a couple of things, like it's the scale factor for how big it is, so it fits on my phone, so we can test the touch. Scale factor, it is also VSync turned off, so it works on Safari, and it's also full screen turned off, which I think we've got kind of baked in. I think we're at a point where we can test. Oh, you know what? I need another cord for my phone so I can share. So I can screen share. I'll be right back. So what we've got to do, we've got to check a couple of settings. We got to commit and push, and then we'll switch over to the Mac and try to build for the web. Now this isn't doing any of the loot stuff, but it should be at least changing us into the play state, into the inventory state as well, or just the inventory state. So let's check our constants here. I want to say we didn't leave us a scale factor. So what I'm going to do is say that this is desktop scale, and then we need a mobile scale. I want to say it was 2. Scale factor of 2 maybe? So let's see if we run it. It is very tiny, but that's okay because it's supposed to be on my phone. So if that's the okay scale and we want the reset to be whatever 2, okay, what about our VSync? Okay, let's turn off VSync, and then what I'll do, what we'll do is we'll have 2 of these values here, and we'll just toggle one off as we get whatever. Well, it's whatever. It's one number difference. Okay. So let's try this. We'll commit this and push, and then we'll try it. So let's do and add everything, and we'll say that this is testing inventory trigger for mobile. Push it up to our repo. Okay, let's swap over. Okay, so we're going to be pulling from our repo. I feel like there's another thing I'm missing. Okay, well, we get pulled. If we do a git log, we can see that we've got our testing inventory trigger for mobile here. So let's try to run our build script. Now, our build script just made the files we need to upload to our server. So I should have right here, see how these files are modified today at 7:59. So it is 5 files, but if we look into our WebStorm here, we've already got them in here. So we can just select the data, the JS, the WebAssembly, the Love.js, and the .love. These are all the files we need on our web server to test. So we will go deploy, upload to our website. And then we will retry it. You know. I don't know what else to do other than click retry. And it looks like that failed. Did it work? Run failed operations. Let's try it again. Okay, 5 files. Okay, here I will screen share. Okay, sweet. Looks like the scale's okay. Okay. So let's try. Select pulls up our help. And start is toggling our inventory. Great. Great. Now we don't have a way to move or select the inventory, but this is the first time we've got the inventory working on the mobile deployment, so that's cool. So this is working. Let's try to add the stuff over to where we can move and select and equip items, and then we'll worry about our loot system. And I've got ads turned on, guys. I'm sorry. I thought Twitch allowed no ads, but apparently for affiliate it has to run ads. So I just turned on the scheduler so it runs automatically now, because I figured I might as well get a revenue split if they're going to put the ads on the channel anyway. So I'm sorry about that, guys, but devlogs are going to be on YouTube anyway. Okay. So I think what I want to do here is let's take a peek at how we're moving the joystick. Yeah, let's take a peek at how we're moving the joystick, which should be our WASD buttons in our pause state. So let's go check out our pause state. Okay. Hey, I'm fast. Sorry if you're stuck in an ad right now. How are we even doing this? It's just in our item inventory update, which is in our item class. Okay. So this is one thing I'm still not so sure on how to do. Because we want to do a similar thing like we did to toggle our inventory state, but I don't want to clog down our callback function, but I guess it won't be that big of a deal. Because what I don't like is that we'd have to, just like how we're saying in our touch pressed callback, we're saying, hey, if buttons 4 was pressed, which is our start button, then go ahead and toggle our inventory. I don't want to have to also say, okay, well, if there's a collision with the joypad, with a D-pad, and we're in the inventory state, then do a very specific, well, I don't know how to do it. If we look at our play state, well, where is our touch pressed callback? Right here. So this is in our touch handling class. Now this is going to get called. See, what I don't want to do is to clog down this touch pressed callback, but I don't know of another way to do it, because we don't want to register multiple touches when it's being held. So that's the hard part, is we want it only executed once upon the touch press, not upon any collision detection. So it's really hard to keep track of state over time when we're doing a game like this in 60 frames a second. So this is one of the issues I'm coming upon in game dev, where it's really tough to do this sort of stuff. But we do have the D-pad. We have the D-pad object that holds all of the touch detection objects. So we should be able to say, okay, touch pressed, we want to say, we only want to check this if our state machine is pause state. So like we only want to check to move the inventory if our global state machine's current state name is equal to pause state here. So if our state name is pause state and we're in our touch press callback, we're going to say, okay, well, if our D-pad, and we can check which buttons are doing stuff. The diagonals don't do anything in the inventory class, so we should be able to get only 4 things. So what I'm going to do is just snag what we need to do. This is just the D-pad. We need to do a separate thing for the buttons, but here is the okay. So if W's pressed, W is our up, and up is our D-pad at index 2. So if D-pad 2 collides with a touch ID, okay, so we would say if D-pad index 2 collides with a touch ID. Now, how we're doing this is our touch pressed goes ahead and inserts into our touches table all the values here. So we have a unique touches ID that we need to check for collision for, and if our touch is colliding with that up button, we need to do our logic for our row, which is not our self-selected row anymore. It is our global item inventory dot selected row. See, this is getting so jacked up, because what I really don't want to have happen is we have to rebuild all this out, because if we make any changes to it, it's going to affect it in both the inventory state as well as our callback function. So I really don't want to do this. I want to figure a different way to do this, because we need to know, depending on which inventory we've selected, we need to modify the selected row of either our item inventory or our key item inventory And that's just a whole lot more code to put in there. And I'm not worried about it being a lot of code. I'm worried about if we change anything, we have to change it in both places. So if we look at our inventory, see how we're checking, okay, well, is our option a key item for our class here? Oh my gosh, yeah. Depending on which option we give it, we do one thing with a right D press or up press or whatever. So there might be a better way to do this. I don't know if we stay in the, I don't know if we can add a callback into this function specifically. I don't know. This, yeah, I have no idea. I've never done this. What's up? I'm fast. How's it going? Let's do this. I don't like this idea, though. I don't like this idea at all. Because I think the issue is this has a certain flow to it. When it's in the inventory class, it has a certain flow. Like, it's listening for a specific input, and then it's doing the specific thing upon a specific input. But the way we're trying to implement our touch detection, we're kind of saying, anytime there's a touch pressed, hey, is the state machine the inventory? Oh, and also is the option of that inventory key item currently? If so, is the touch also colliding with the very touch that we're asking about right now? And then if so, do the thing. And it just feels a whole lot messier than this method. Yeah, I'm wondering if we can use the global callback to populate. Actually, yeah, we're using the global callback to populate our touches table, and that's global. So we should have access to our touches table inside of our class here. So we should be able to, and as long as we are removing, and we are removing touches that are released from the touches table, yeah, we should be able to do this. Let's see where our touch pressed is. Touch pressed. Where is it? Ay, ay, ay. I get so lost in here. Okay. So look, this touches table here is, yeah, okay. I think this is the way to do it. Okay, I think instead of doing this, you know what, I'm going to leave the toggle in here because that kind of makes sense. But what we're going to do is add this stuff inside our inventory class. So we have the toggle working. That's fine. That changes the state. And now that we're in this, once we change to the pause state, we're updating our inventory class objects, which hold the grid of items and the selections and all that stuff. So we can test for collisions on both our touch ID. Okay. See, because this one is nice because it only gets called right when we press. Oh, let me think this through. We're still there is a problem here because sure, we have access to the touches in our inventory class, but we don't have access to whether or not it was touched on that very frame. Because we only want to do these things once. So this callback was a way to ensure that it's only being called once. I guess we could... I'm thinking we can, like... Like, we can add a field to each touch that is just pressed, right? Like, it starts to... It becomes just pressed true right when we press it. And then at the end of all of our updates for the game, we would flush all of those values to be false. And as long as we only change it to true upon a touch press callback, then we can kind of ensure, you know, we only check if it was pressed on that very frame. A lot like how we're doing the was pressed for the keyboard detection. It's just that we don't have any built-in was pressed for touch. Now maybe there is a Love2d was pressed for touch. But as far as I can tell, it didn't have it touch pressed. It's just a callback. Yeah. Okay. So we might need to... I want to say that we would also initialize another value in here called was pressed or was touched, and we set that equal to true. So anytime we do have a touch press, was touched is true. But then here's the tricky part. Like, we have to make sure at the end, of our update, at the very end, after we do all the touch detection stuff, we need to go through our touch ID and flush it to was touched false. Is there a better way to do this? I can't tell, because it would be nice if we have our collision detection for touch objects inside the inventory class, so it's not bogging down this callback. But then we got to build out manually fleshing our was touch to be false at all times, every single frame. It's not a big deal, but yeah, I think that's the lesser of two evils at this point. So let's go, I guess, in our main here. After, just like we do this, so look, after we update our, where is our update in our main? We're going to update our keyboard input and our touch input. We're going to update our state machine. So here, when we flush our keyboard keys released and stuff, this is when we want to cycle, we want to say if touches does not equal nil or empty table, how do we do that? If touches at index 1 does not equal nil, meaning there is a touch, at least one touch in there, then we want to cycle through all of our touches for key value in pairs touches. We want to... This needs a class or a function here. For key value in pairs touches, we want to go through touches at index k, and we want to set the was touched field to be equal to false. Maybe. This part becomes really tough because we can't test if this is working unless we're on a touch device, and the easiest way I know how to do that is just to build and deploy to the web, which is half impressive, half crazy. But I could run Xcode and make a build for iOS, and that takes longer than it is to just deploy to the web. So that's kind of where I'm at. Okay, so at the end of our update, we're going through our touches table. Now, I do this because if we try to cycle through our touch, let's try it. If I cycle through and try to make all of our touches false on a desktop, which doesn't get populated with touches, you know what? I thought we would crash here, and we're not. So that is a good sign. We might be able to get rid of that. So I'm thinking if touches is an empty table, it just knows, hey, just don't crash here, just don't loop through it. And then if there are touches, we're going to go through and go at every index of our touches table. We're going to go change that was touched value to false now. And that has the effect of only becoming was touched the very frame it was touched. That way we can do stuff like trigger buttons only once, not upon a continuous touch, but only on a was touched, if that makes sense. So now that we have that, we can go into our inventory class, and we can try to do the logic here instead of in our callback, which would be nicer because there's a whole bunch of junk. So if our self.option is item, we want to do our item update. So let's do our W press first. And W is up, so it's moving the selected cursor up one if we can move up one. So we're going to say we have to cycle through. Yeah, this is a little tricky because we got to do it in one nested loop here. Well, we have to say, let's go cycle through for touches in pairs. Touches, that can't work. Let's do key value in pairs touches do, and then we want to say, and let's do down first because we can actually test down. So I'm fast. This is a game I'm making called Tashio Tempo, and it's like Link's Awakening, but more music and magic. So less swords and dungeons, but more like magic and nature stuff. And music too. It will be playable. It'll be playable on everything. So PC, Mac, Linux, and it's playable on the web as well. So yeah, it works on everything. That's the goal, at least. I don't know if I can like port to Switch or anything like that, but it can work on your phone, which is good enough for me. Yeah, I'm on PC right now. This is the Windows subsystem for Linux, so it's like a Linux environment on Windows. But I don't like it. I don't like the Windows aspect of it. It's just really slow. Okay. So if dpad, I think dpad 2 was our up button. If our up button collides with a touches at index K. Yeah, I don't know what VirtualBox is. Is that... I mean, I've got everything. I've got a Linux machine, I've got a Mac machine, I've got PC, so I am able to test it on everything natively. So I'm not really worried about that. See, this is great. Like, I don't like that we have to like, I guess what we could do is... Okay, I'll look into that. I'll look into VirtualBox. Yeah, I've been kind of slacking on learning some new tech here recently, so... I'm kind of thinking we just turn this into a function called, like, handle up input, and then we can just handle up input on both of these things. But if this is broken, actually, I want to do down first. So S is down. So this will be the down, because we can actually test the downwards right here. So let's do this. We have to find which D-pad is our down button. Which down is this one for? No. It's this one. Which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. D-pad 7 is our down. Okay. So now we took out of our callback and we're now checking in our item inventory, which I'm going to run this and make sure we don't crash, and we don't. So that's good. Okay, so if our options item, which is what we turn to when we first switch our inventory, it's going to cycle through our touches. If any of our touches collides with the down D-pad, we're going to move our selected row down one and reset our cursor blink so that we can move our cursor on our inventory system. So let's commit and push this and test it. We'll say testing down D-pad on mobile for inventory. Okay. So we will push this. Uh-oh. Okay. We'll swap over to Mac now. So we just git pulled our changes there. We've got the new testing down D-pad. All we've got to do is run our build script, and it changed the files, and now we just need to upload to the server and test it. Okay, I think it worked. Shit. Do you see how it went? It did the... Oh, we need to ask if it was touched. Yeah, that's what we didn't do. That's exactly what we were trying to fix. Because if I touch as little as possible, it registered for touch because it's 66 frames a second. So we should have the fix for that. We just need to make it. It worked though. It moved it down, so that was good. So we only want to do this if and the touches at index K was touched. So touches K was touched has to be true in order to do that. I think that'll work. I'm tempted to... Actually, let's test this, and then if it works here, then I'm fairly sure it'll work for all the other buttons. So let's go... Okay. So look, all we do, git pull, build, done. Then we just upload the files to our server, and that's how we deploy to the web. It's super easy. I love it. Look at that. It works. It works. Okay, we only have down, but it works. So we'll need to add both the... we need to add the select anything in our inventory. Then we need to add the inventory swap. Then we need to add... Well, I guess we've already got the come out of the inventory class, so that's great. Great. Okay. Okay, I do think I want to write a function called handle up or handle down so that we can get rid of some of this stuff. So like the idea is we'd want to say handle down input right here, and we would just make handle down input this function. So okay, so handle down input, and then on S we would handle down input. Yeah, and then ads are coming up again. I think there's a way. I want to figure out how to do it where I just do like 3 minutes at a time, and I can just take a little break too. So like maybe every hour, just do the 3 minutes and just take a little break. But sorry for ads about to kick in. Okay, this will be up input. There is a little issue with this because we're resetting a different cursor. Let's see, if we do W, we're handling an up input, on our item option, but not our key item option. If we were to handle... How would we do this? Because we're trying to reset blink on this key item cursor. That is a cursor object. So it's almost like... Hey, what's up, K-Chonix? How's it going, dude? Thanks for lurking. It's tough because I'm trying to fix a couple of things at once, and it's hard to test when you do that. Like, I'm worried I will break things and then get discouraged. So I'm trying to think if we should hold off on functionalizing all of our inputs. But then again, this is the deal here is we're trying to... I want to learn how to do things right, you know, or do things better. Because it's the... Like, if we look at the handle up input, it is resetting a item cursor. But our item cursor is a different... You know what? Maybe what we do is we do a blink reset on both cursors. That would fix this issue. We would do a blink reset on the key item cursor anytime we do any sort of input. Yeah, because that should fix our issue here. Because the issue I was having was trying to target which cursor to update. But why don't we just update both? Or why don't we just go ahead and reset both? Hey, thanks for the follow, Jiao JSX. Hey, I like that name. You a programmer? Is that where JSX comes from? Let's just make sure we didn't break anything, and we did. This is weird. We don't have... I guess we have to pass in self into this to work, I guess, because it doesn't have access to it. So I think we have to pass in self here. And then when we handle down input, we have to also pass in our self so we have access to it. Let's see if we stop crashing. Nice job. Yeah, I've been teaching myself and learning about web dev. So, I would say I'm a fan of JSX. I think it's cool. Yeah, one thing my boot camp taught me was like to not... Like, I did hate web dev before my boot camp because I was just a bad web developer, and I just hated looking through my nasty CSS spaghetti. So, I mean, it's still that, but now that I can use like Tailwind and stuff, I'm liking CSS like infinitely more. Okay, we should be okay handling that input there. Shoot. Moving right didn't handle correctly. Oh. Okay. Hey, congrats, K-Tronics. That's awesome, dude. Are you gonna frame that sucker? When I got my bachelor's, I not so jokingly told my mom I was gonna turn it into a coaster so I could actually get some use out of it. So like I wanted to turn it into a coaster, and then my mom like stole my diploma and framed it for me. So now I just taped my Harvard CS50 certificate of completion over it. So now that's what's kind of like, that's what it looks like is framed now. So that's cool. Yeah, exactly. I figured if I could turn it into a coaster, I can actually use it, right? So that was my idea. Oh my goodness, what is going on? Handle right. You didn't like the key item blink reset? Okay, so why can't we reset the key item cursor blink? Key item cursor a nil value. So this does not solve the issues I thought. Why is this a nil value? We have it right here. Oh, only if it's a key item. Okay. Okay, so maybe we can just ask, maybe we pass in our option, we pass in our self, then we ask what our option is, and then we only cursor blink reset whatever cursor is active. So let's try to do that. So we'll pass in our self. Let's work on down first. We pass in our self, then we will ask the option. We'll say if self.option is equal to our item cursor. No, not item cursor. It's up here, key item or item. So key item, camel case, or item. So we'll say item. If option is item, then go ahead and update our item cursor. If our option is key item, then we want to reset our key item cursor, I think that's right, self dot key item cursor. Nope. Okay. Okay, let's see if we handle down input. Okay, nice. Okay, we don't crash there, so we have to do basically this in all of our inputs. So we will handle our blink reset here. And here. Oops. Okay, so we shouldn't crash here. Thank you. Okay, so that should be... okay, so now we can use this function handle up in both our item option and key item option, because all that's different is we're changing which cursor to reset based on the option. So now we should be able to continue and put our input here like this, right here. So this we should be able to just replace with update or handle up input. Passing in self. Let's see if key item, if we swap over. Okay, yeah, seems to be working. And then the game's so tiny because we're still on the web deployment scale factor. So I could just switch it real quick. We just have to remember to switch it back before deployment. Cool. Okay, easier to see, easier to see. Okay. Sweet. Okay. We should be good to go. This is left. Handle left input. Come on. And then this is down. D is right. Sweet, sweet, sweet. And then we still got to do the buttons. We'll test and make sure the D-pads are working, and then we'll worry about the buttons. This is huge, though. This is really cool. We're about to have working, this is the first step to get our loot working on our mobile deployment, which will be really cool. Okay, so let's go to our constants. Get our scale factor set. I'm going to test to make sure we don't crash. Okay. Okay. And then let's go ahead and try to commit, and we'll say testing all D-pad directions for inventory on mobile. Sweet. Uh-oh. Down is working. And only down is working. Did we forget to do... What did we forget? Oh, we aren't doing it here. Okay, so we have to check. We aren't calling these functions on collision with touch detection object. So we have to find out what touch objects we're looking for here, and it could be touch detection. It should be a whole list of items here. Okay, so this is our list. So if our D-pad at index, let's do left. Let's see. We've got down. So let's just do up next. Come on. If our D-pad at our up, which is our index 2, I believe. Yeah. If index 2 collides with our touch, And that very touch at index K dot was touched, then we want to handle our up input. Okay. Okay. So let's do our left, and our left would be our fourth. So if our dpad at index 4 collides with our touch, and we already made a mistake here, we've got to do this. Okay, and that touch at index K was touched. Then we would want to go and handle our left. Handle left input. Okay, and then if our right, and our right is the 5th index, if that collides with our touches, okay, then we would want to handle our right input. Cool. Okay, now we're actually invoking those functions upon the touch detection. So now if we commit this, we should see it working, hopefully. So let us say added. All right. Uh-oh. What? I don't know what to do other than to just try it over and over again. Yeah, that fixed it. Whatever. I don't know why. Here we go. Okay, moment of truth here. We got our inventory. Down works, right works, up works, left works. Hell yeah. And if we hold it, it doesn't keep moving. And if we hold it and drag it, it doesn't do a whole bunch of stuff. You have to press it in order to move. Sweet. Okay, so this is great. We now need to equip these things. So we'll be doing the button inputs, as well as, so B toggles which inventory you're selecting, and A actually selects the inventory. So we'll soon be able to have these items equipped. It's already been an hour and a half. We've made a lot of good progress, so I think we already pushed, so I guess we're good. We already pushed. Tomorrow I'll be back 7 p.m. Actually, no, it'll be earlier because I've actually got some plans tomorrow. So tomorrow it'll be a stream in the afternoon, and we'll worry about getting our inventory switching and our item selection working, and then we'll worry about getting our loot system moved over to the dpad touch. So hopefully by let's say 2 days from now, we should be able to play loot on the mobile deployment. So that would be fun. So that's what's on the docket tomorrow. So thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. We'll find someone to raid out to here. Let's see. Yo, have a good night, K-Tronics. Thanks for hanging. Okay, I can't expand the drop down. We'll raid our game dev buddy here. Hey Glizzy, thanks for hanging. Appreciate it. Have a good night. We'll raid out to Hypnotic. The worst thing is me trying to spell Hypnotic Games, but thanks for watching, y'all. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll get some more inventory system done for the mobile deployment. If you want to play the game in its current state, it's up at tashio.dev on a smartphone or on a keyboard. So it's already up and live. People can play what was just committed today if they wanted to. Hopefully in 2 days' time, we'll get our loot working so that we can play music on the mobile deployment. That should be fun. But yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. I'll be back later.